Everything about the next 30 seconds is a lie. My voice, my face, even this sentence. Today I'm showing you the pipeline that turns one idea into a finished show in hours, not days. And I'm proving it works by running it on myself right now. That's the same engine driving today's demo. It zooms, pans, and calls out every click on its own. No editor touched this. Everything you just watched, the voice, the face, this video, was completely AI generated. Want to know how Human Chris did it? Human in the Loop starts now. So this is really me. This is Human Chris right here talking to you, Sash, and everybody else.
Are you sure, man? Are you sure? I don't know. Well, it is. Maybe it isn't. What's up,
Maybe
Chris?
it is. We'll never know. So look at that. I even changed shirts and everything in those 15 seconds. How you doing, man? How are you?
Good, brother. How you doing?
Good. I am excited about this topic,
too.
Man.
Me too.
We talk all the time. Too. Yeah, that's right. First time on YouTube. First time on Wednesdays. Are we still going to have our mojo, man?
Of course.
Yeah, of course we are.
Mojo's never fading.
I'm going to go ahead real quick and kick a couple things off. And then we'll come and talk to them. I'm going to kick off here. Trailer. This is how we generate the trailer for next week's episode. This is episode 19, running the trailer for 20. And then I'm going to come over here into a different repo and do demo and kick off a demo. We're going to let those run for a bit. We're going to talk about what they mean, and then we will come back to those in a bit. I'm pumped, Sash. We talk about a lot, right? Like AI covers a lot. There's a lot of things that are AI. And I think we've talked a lot about how AI is slowly like nudging its way into every line of business, every vertical, every horizontal. And, you know, you and I feel like have multiple Claude Code and Codex terminals open 24/7, but we don't really do the same stuff.
No, we use the same tools in very different ways, which is kind of the beauty of it. And what I'm excited to learn today is, you know, we've been doing this for, I don't know, a few months now, and we just kind of think about it and find a topic and jump on it and figure out what to talk about, and everything else in the environment is managed, automated, run by Claude Code. So I'm excited to learn how to do all this.
Yeah, this is, you know, when I think of like marketing, branding, design, that area, like that's the part I love about doing AI. That's where I keep finding myself like leaning into the most. And it's crazy, right? Like child Chris, who couldn't stand art, is rolling over in his grave. College Chris, who wanted to only code and do nothing with business, is rolling over in his grave, right? Like advertising, marketing, like if I had to do it over again, that's where I would get my degree. And so I just kind of keep shifting back there. But yeah, to your point, and I know we talked about this, I think back in like episode 5, maybe, just a kind of overview of how we run this show. Right? Like we have a couple commands that / episode that generates the episode / turnover that does everything at the end of the show. And we're just in between, but like we just keep kind of building on that. So, and then I've taken that and expanded that out to how can I use a production engine to build, like you saw in that demo, like a digital voice, a digital twin, a product demo. And so what I'm going to show today is kind of that process, right? Like how I take the whole video, the editing, the production side of it, and do 3 things. 1, it's generate all of the human in the loop assets. So the trailer that goes out every Tuesday, the highlight reel that goes out every Friday of our live stream is the first one. 2, my storytelling content. I've started 2 storytelling channels on YouTube. One of them is just me finding lost battles, lost moments in history, and coming up with a story, getting AI to render the images to kind of match that narrative told in my voice. Then the other one is what I do for work at iLink. So I've been building all of these tools that kind of like sales accelerators, if you will. Then I want to like get the word out. So for me, it's, you know, as we continue to evolve in the industry, in sales and consulting, I don't want to be the bottleneck, man. I know, like, how many times did when you and I worked together at Microsoft, where we like, hey, Chris, I have a customer demo I want to schedule with you. Like, what's your calendar looking like?
Yeah, yeah. You were a popular guy, so
yeah. And so,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I like being popular, but like, I don't want to do any work, right? If I'm being honest. So it's how can I use this to generate product demos? And I think that's the most applicable one for the professional, the enterprise, of actually like streamlining this, where I can generate product demos now with doing nothing but clicking /demo, and it'll be done in 10 to 15 minutes. So I want to break down that process.
I think what's great about this is, content creation is such a part of every single business right now, right?
Period.
If you want to grow, period. If you were a content creator with an audience, then you have distribution. You already have an audience you can distribute products and services to. That applies for solo operative consultants like me. That applies for companies. That applies for massive multi-billion-dollar organizations as well. But the tedious part of content creation, the least creative part, is all that's exactly. It's basically stitching everything together and editing and creating assets. That stuff's tedious. That stuff takes time. If you're a large company, you probably hire marketing agencies to do it.
Right.
But solo operator like me,
I'm here to tell you to stop.
Yeah, you don't need to, and it just takes some time to build the thing that builds the thing.
Build the thing that builds the thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me kind of talk through, right? So I'll go through a few of these. The first one, the quill, is the name of my storytelling, and I also have a kids version of that too, called The Little Feather, where my girlfriend was like, hey, Chris, like, this storytelling stuff you're doing, like, my kids love watching Pokemon stories on YouTube, but like, I don't really trust YouTube creators. Can you do that? I'm like, all right, sure. So, but I think the same process can be applied into the professional world, right? So number one, the first thing I do is I do research. So I have a research skill that will go out and research within my niche what I'm looking for. So for me, it is lost battles, lost court trials, and eventually that will scale to sports moments, right? Like, we're not talking about, Normandy. We're not talking about Gettysburg, right? The history buffs are probably going to know about these, but not your A-list ones. But I don't want to tell the story about the battle. I want to tell the story about a person inside that battle. And did that person transform throughout that, or as a result of it, or whatnot? So it's going out there and doing research specifically on what kind of fits that mold. I've also started using this as well, because I'd like to eventually scale this out into other faceless channels, where there are where are there gaps in YouTube? Where are there niches that aren't really being captured there, right? And I've even started to bring this into my work environment of same thing, like, where are there products where there's not a lot of content out, or the content that's being told doesn't fit just the way that I like to tell stories. So that's what happens.
Just to clarify, this is a research skill. It's set up with very specific instructions to look for stories based on your niche. That's kind of the first step. Okay. And this is like a skill you run with Hermes or Claude Code.
With Claude Code, right? And that's grounded in, I've written 10 to 15 stories myself. I've won an award for telling a story on stage. So all of this is grounded in the way that I like to tell stories. My style, how I like to open, starting in action, planting breadcrumbs. Again, like, following just the way that I like to tell stories, right? So that's the first one. From there, it will write the script. It'll write the first draft of the script. But I'll be honest, man, like with anything, right? We talked about this, I think, last week or a couple weeks ago. Once you've given enough content about you, what it comes and writes, it doesn't feel like it's somebody else writing this,
Right.
So it writes it, and it's why, like, I'll even brand this as human written on YouTube. And like, I don't really feel like I'm lying when I say that, because it will write this. I will still give feedback, but man, this is like exactly the kind of thing that I would write. So I've got a storyteller critic that kind of vets it the way that I like to tell stories. I have, for my kids channel, I have a lesson clinic that is grounded in child psychology, child therapy, since everything there is about like emotional regulation, all this and that, right? We all have our agent teams that do this. It will send me a message on Telegram with that script. It will give it a checklist, right? Like, hey, these are the 8 storytelling things that I know you want. Here's where they are. Here's where they are. and then I can approve that. Once that is approved, it will kick off a produce skill, and that's where it starts to actually churn money, right? Everything so far is free. So the produce skill inside this, and we'll talk about how this applies to Hiddle and iLink tools, is that's where it goes to 11 voice. So it makes 2 calls to 11 labs. And 11 labs, if you haven't been to 11 labs yet, it's just phenomenal. I think they've really, 11labs.io, I think they've really sort of taken the hold of like creative. You can do voice clones, you can do images, you can do videos. The splash screen for Human in the Loop, right at the very beginning of each episode, generated from 11 labs as well. But they have 2 models you can call in there. They have the V2 one, which has been around, and they just came out with the V3 one.
All right.
I have a professional voice clone. I've given it 2 hours of my audio, so it sounds very much like me. The problem, though, is it doesn't really, with that model, it doesn't know like emotion. I can't tell it speak softly or speak aggressively or talk in a British accent. That was bad, but you can give it all these sort of dialect changes, but there's a new model that does. So I take that script, pass it in the old model pass it into the V3 model, which has all of those emotion tags, generates that, take that output, and then remix that into my professional one. So what you hear sounds pretty close to me.
So you have one skill that researches it. Is that the same skill that writes the script as well, or is that a separate?
It's separate, right? So a research skill, right? Let me come up with some ideas. Then I have a script skill that will generate the script. Once I approve that, then I'll call my produce skill. And these are all just like orchestrating skills. We talk about that a lot. Like I don't like logic inside orchestrating skills. I call a skill and then tell it to call several sub skills, right? And then the logic is baked in there. That way, if I need to edit, a single part of this, like, so for example, in produce, it has a skill to create the voice clone, then to create the images, then to create the captions with Whisper. If I want to say, hey, let me just change just the voice part of it, right? I don't have to edit the whole skill and worry about maybe Claude misses something. Just edit this part of it, right?
So I think that's a great point for people to remember when you're planning such a complex task, which has so many different moving pieces, right? If you can imagine the pipeline from the start to finish, like what do you need to do? You need to do research first. You need to find a story. You need to write a script. You need to start building the voice for that script. Then you can start thinking about building it into skills. Each phase can be a skill, and then skills could be calling other skills in the pipeline or calling other agents in the pipeline as well.
Correct. So that'll generate the narration. It'll generate the images. It'll generate everything. And then I have a release skill. And so the release, of course, will not just push it to YouTube, but it will schedule it on YouTube. I have a release cadence that I've defined, that I've given to Claude, right? I want to release videos 3 days a week at these times. So once the video is created, it'll upload it to YouTube, but mark is scheduled. Then it will create shorts for me. It will go through those videos and find good 45 to 60-second shorts, generate those, and then also upload and mark those as scheduled. So I have my shorts coming out the 2 days. I do 2 shorts per episode or per story, and I have the first one come out a day after the video, and then another day after that, so I can stagger those. Then it does the same thing. It creates Facebook posts, it creates Instagram posts, it creates Facebook Reels, creates Instagram Reels. It schedules all of those. They have podcast feeds, Spotify, Apple Music, an RSS feed. So it will then take that audio out of it, push that audio up, and publish it to that RSS feed. So as soon as, for example, my next story is going to go live tomorrow, or excuse me, my next story is going to go live Friday at noon. As soon as Friday at noon happens, I can be sitting back doing what I want. That video is going to go live on Facebook. Video is going to go live on YouTube. Video is going to go live on Instagram. That Spotify feed is going to go live. You'll be able to capture that everywhere.
Okay. So you research, the planning part is kind of the first part of research writing.
Yep.
Then writing production involves connecting to 11 Labs, generating the
Correct.
voiceover, and also then creating the imagery. So you've given Claude Code and your agents tools to be able to do this. 11
Yep.
Labs is one of the tools. And then when you come to release phase, it's connected to all of these platforms via APIs or MCP connectors. And
Correct.
it can just start pushing
Yep.
the content live.
That's it. So
Okay.
how does that translate over into our space? So two things. One, now on Human in the Loop, because we're moving to YouTube, that became a thing, because what we do, we used to publish on LinkedIn, or record on LinkedIn, and then we would upload our videos to YouTube. Well, we don't need to upload the same video to YouTube because it's already going to be stored here for going live. I wanted us to get into like, hey, let's start putting content out more frequently. So we've already talked about in episode 5, and there'll be a link to that on the live stream. You want to watch like the episode, we have a /turnover skill. As soon as we stop recording, I'll run /turnover and it will do everything for us. Part of that now is it will generate a highlight reel. And so what this will do, again, so it'll call /reel. I never type /reel. It's part of turnover, again, orchestrating the sub skills. And then what it will do is it will generate a 5 to 10 minute highlight reel based on our video. How does it do that? It calls even more sub skills. So the first thing it'll do is it will take the recording, it will figure out the various scenes, determine where to cut that out, and then it will pause it right there. So this is going to use FFmpeg, free tool. It lives locally on my Mac Mini. CouchDB is a document database where it stores all of our context in there. So it's just going to kind of cut that reel out, or to cut that video out into various pieces.
Okay.
From there,
okay.
It is going to then start to stitch those together. Hey, which ones of these look good, right? Where is their drift? Where is their redundancy? Using FFmpeg and Claude. The cards is where we'll start to see, like, we're going to have, hey, this is topic 1, this is topic 2, transitions, hyperframes, and remotion. Have you ever used any of those tools, Sash, at all?
I use remotion quite a bit. I do a lot of animations for my course. It's pretty slick. Claude Code works very well with it. Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Sort of the same thing. I kind of go back and forth. Remotion is like a React-based engine for animation. Hyperframes is an HTML, CSS engine. I prefer Remotion. I just feel like it's fancier, right? But I have Hyperframes in there as well, just sort of like a fallback, since it's more Hyperframe just works better with agents because of the deterministic language that it follows, right?
So now we're like post-production. The video is out. To promote your video on YouTube, there's reels, shorts, all sorts of stuff and typically if you want to do this manually, you're going to have to watch the full video, find moments, cut it, and then cut it to the aspect ratio of, like, for a phone or portrait.
I don't do that shit.
That stuff, that's tedious, man. That is tedious work.
Yeah.
So
I'd rather be using that time building other things with AI.
Yeah. You kind of focus on the creative part of it, right? The storytelling part of it is what and if we can source it, produce it, make it produce it in a consistent style, visual kind of aesthetic as well, and manage all this tedious post-production stuff.
Yeah. That's what Reel does, right? It'll generate captions to throw up on there. It'll render it. Again, the cost of the Reel is 0. It uses my Claude Code subscription. It uses FFmpeg. It uses Remotion, uses hyperframes, all on my local machine. I'm never making a call out, right? The only API call I'm making is at the very end when I publish it, right? It'll generate, actually, it will generate thumbnails. That's the only cost that it will make. That will go against Nano Banana, which is like 2 cents. I think I'm on 3.1 flash, can't remember which, 2.5 flash maybe. So 2 cents per video, or 2 cents per image. And then it will upload that as unlisted.
Okay, so the entire pipeline runs within the Claude subscription. So if you guys have a max 5x max, you should be able to do all of this.
Correct.
And the only 2 external calls it makes is 11 Labs for voiceover. That's your choice, and then Nano Banana for generating cover images.
So this doesn't do 11 Labs here. My storytelling, I know I've kind of bounced around. My storytelling one uses 11 Labs, but our highlight reel, and the same thing with the trailer, which I'm going to come back and show, that is all lives on my local machine. Remotion, similar thing for trailer. So let's go up and actually see if this trailer is done. So, all right, perfect. This is the new one for episode 20. Let's give it a watch, see what it looks like. So I had to build this today. We have a guest episode next week. Not too bad.
Not too bad.
So that was done in what, 10, 15 minutes, right?
Okay. So this is for an upcoming episode. So it basically knows what we're going to talk about. It knows there's be a guest. We've already created
the episode, right? We know what that episode's going to be about. It sources that. And again, right here, right? It's going to go say, hey, go look at the episode in CouchDB, figure out what's in there, right? And then this is deterministic for the most part. Hey, generate for a guest episode, generate that guest thing according to a design, right? And I have approved a design. We're talking about this before. For my design process for this, I have a design skill, I have a designer agent, and then I have essentially like a web dev agent. And so I'll say, hey, design, I need to design a guest version of a trailer. Okay. So the output of that skill, it will give me 3. It will have the designer design it, and then the web dev actually generate it. So it'll give me the direction A. What are the 3 things that look like for indicating a guest? What makes it distinct? Direction B, and then direction C. And direction C was the one that suggested adding another thing for the guest. I'm like, oh my God, I love that. Perfect. And then it built it out for me, right? So once that's done, then the rest of it is pretty deterministic. You know, hey, pull the guest name, pull the episode title, pull information from the database, and then use Remotion for the transitions. Python scripts to verify everything's in place, FFmpeg to render, publish it to YouTube. We're off and running.
Yeah. You know, it's a lot of it. I talk about this in the trainings as well. When you're working with agents for long running kind of multi-step tasks, complex stuff that you have to build, 3 things matter: context, instructions, and tools. The fact that this is a lot of setup for context. We've got episodes in CouchDB. You've got instructions for these agents in terms of skills to execute each step. And then the agents have access to tools. So whenever you're thinking about a multi-step complex task, it shouldn't be a single pipeline. It should be broken down into smaller pieces. And then you set up the context instructions and tools for each piece. I talk about it a lot. You have to deconstruct and delegate.
Deconstruct and delegate. That's a great way to put it, Sash.
You have to deconstruct and delegate. And this is fantastic because this is so much tedious work. If you're a great content creator, this stuff I don't like to do.
Same, right? And so, like I haven't opened a single editor. I don't even like Adobe Illustrator. Is that a big one? I haven't opened a single one, right? And then the last one that I'll walk through is the product demos. And this kind of builds on everything we've done before, right? So for this one, for example, if I were to pull up this product, this is a demo that I built where we're taking, hey, here's an architecture diagram. We've got a few different business scenarios, a person sitting in front of an email inbox, a support inbox, if you will. Customer reaches out, hey, my bank card overdraft, whatever. They have to read that. They have to route it. Power of attorney review. Anyway, like I don't even know how to explain this right now, right? But it's sort of rather than wait on my schedule for me to demo this to a customer, why can't I just generate my own like sales channel to have this coming to me? And so that was the first thing I did. I ran /demo. And again, right, deconstruct and delegate. First of all, let me write a demo script. Let me write an overlay for OBS if you can, right? And then use Playwright to actually draft that click script, drive the tool itself, and then screen record that. Then it goes up to 11 Labs for the voice. HeyGen is the tool that I use where I created my digital twin. And so I don't like HeyGen's voice, so it'll take that script. It will then record it using my 11 Labs voice, then it will match that up with HeyGen, right? Write captions, make it branded, right? Using a nameplate, using a splash screen as needed, produce it, put it all together. And let's open this up and see where we're at. So I was hoping that it would, oh my gosh. I told it to run end to end and it didn't, like it does. So what'll happen in this, oh, I'm so upset about this. I should have been checking it. I tested this like 3 times, right? Run end to end, run end to end, run end to end. All good. It should only take a few more minutes. In the meantime, what it will do is it'll generate that full product video, right? It'll upload it to YouTube. It's about 2 minutes per length. And then at the end, it will give me a cost breakdown. I do that for every one of my stories. I do that for my product demos. And I kind of, the KPI that I use is DPM, or cost per minute. How expensive is it for me to generate one of these per minute? And I break that down, right? Cost of images, cost of voice, cost of digital twin, cost of, like I like to put sound beds underneath it, the cost of generating all of that music. And to give you an example,
and when you mean cost per minute, it's cost per minute of
video
play.
A video playing. Yep.
Okay.
And so for my stories, I get those to about 50 cents per minute. And that's image rendering, video, audio. For a 2-minute product demo for my iLink tools, like a little over a dollar a minute, man.
Yeah.
$1 a minute for splash screen, for everything. Since that one's not ready, I'm going to show an example of a different one that I already had here. A customer wants an AI agent but has no idea where to start. Weeks of scoping, wireframes, back and forth, and still nothing. Everything in this is AI,
this
right?
Is Frontier Forge.
This splash screen created through 11 Labs. The background music, 11 Labs.
When you land in Frontier Forge, the first thing you see is a simple
Labs.
Text field.
The face.
No configuration panels, no technical setup.
HeyGen.
Just a prompt asking you to describe
everything else
the AI agent you have in mind.
Caption the screen.
So let's say your customer is a financial services firm and they want an agent that helps employees look up client account summaries and answer policy questions.
Driving
you type that
in
plain language,
yes,
exactly as you would explain it to a colleague. Hit generate, and Frontier Forge gets to work. Within moments, it's
2 minutes, 1 minute 55 seconds. Cost me $2 to make.
So it's pretty incredible. So there's a lot of planning that goes into building something like this, right? When you're, again, coming back to what we love to talk about, build a thing that builds the thing. And there's a lot of planning. There's a lot of deconstruction and delegation. There's a lot of planning for each step for context, instructions, and tools. There's something that is very human in the process, is 2 things, like actually, they're kind of related: creativity and taste. And I think those things matter to what the end product would look like in terms of, polish, product polish, or whatever you want to call it, right? How do you ensure that it does things to your taste and your creative vision, if you will?
Yeah. Time, right? And I think when we think about human gates, that's the human gate, right? Like what I showed today is an output, like you said, of deconstruct and delegate. But in a way, it's like I deconstruct it and then you just construct it layer by layer, right? So like in Human in the Loop, our turnover skill initially did very little things, right? It generated new OBS nameplates. It uploaded the video. Now we've kept building on that. It generates shorts. It generates a trailer. It generates a highlight reel. And all of that is just continuing to like iterate, review. Part of that for me is some of like the design skill. So we've talked a lot about like different SDLC methodologies inside AI, and I've gone back and forth a lot. But the one I've aligned on that really like I get good results for primarily uses the superpowers plugin, which the first one is brainstorming, where Claude will ask me several questions. Hey, you said you want to do this. Like, what do you really mean? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And then if it's visual, then I have my design skill that I have built up over time, right? So that way, the output of a design, it will take the brainstorming spec, it'll take the visual design, it'll write an implementation plan, and then I'll call a loop inside Claude to execute that. And the output is pretty much always now, right, what I'm looking for. So I've had the most success with skills. We talk about skills a lot. Like, where can I make AI more deterministic? Skills has been my best friend for that. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. It's the same thing, like writing a newsletter, designing a slide deck, or building a video. All of it, it takes time to arrive at what good looks like, right? And you have to define what good looks like in words and phrases so the machine can understand it. So it does take time. But I think very key to remember for our audience is, like, think about deconstruction of that entire process. And Chris, you mentioned SDLC. We've talked about software developer life cycles, and we talk about a lot SDD, which is spec-driven development. For non-technical people, what is spec-driven development? Before you write the first line of code, there's intense amounts of planning that goes into designing the specifics of the software.
Every single one.
Every single software is written that. It's designed, first you sit and plan. Product manager will sit and think about the user journey, what the user journey should look like, what the feature should look like, what the UI should look like. All of these specs are written into a document. Then you start writing code. You take that same concept and apply it to any task with AI. Try to imagine the whole thing, deconstruct it into smaller pieces, and then build a pipeline little by little, step by step. And then eventually you get to this point when Chris just runs / whatever command, and then it's going to execute with consistency. That's where the determinism comes with time. That's how you apply taste.
That's it. No, it's been fun to do this. AI, you can bring it into whatever world you want to live with AI in, right? But yeah, skills, adding on top of things, like just continue to kind of build, find new tools, right? Like we all have, I know you have a research skill that helps research your newsletter. I have a research skill that helps me stay on top of AI trends. If there's ever an animation tool, like Claude Design is going to be the next thing that I check out. And I can't believe I haven't checked that out yet. But again, like, that's how I found Hyperframes. That's how I found Remotion. That's how I found CouchDB is just a cheap document database to run this on. That's how I found FFmpeg. It's just continuing to, like, research content you're interested in,
Yeah. And, if you don't know where to find stuff, what do?
Ask your favorite AI agent. Cool, man.
Awesome, dude. I'm excited to try this stuff on my end as well.
And I'm going to post some of these skills. I'm going to post my design skill. I'm going to post the demo, the reel. I'll make sure my API keys aren't in there for you to check out. Anybody else. And then next week, we have a guest coming back on the show. We actually have guests the next 2 weeks, believe it or not. Excited, man.
Yeah. Me too. Excited. Me too. This has been absolute fun, brother, as always.
Yeah, enjoyed it, man. Check out next week, Renee Charbonneau, my coworker at iLink. He's coming back on. 11 weeks ago, he told everyone to refactor your AI. So he did it, and then everything blew up. So he's going to talk about what he learned.
All right. That's
always a pleasure, man. See you next week, Sash.
See you next week, brother.
Cheers, man.